Once upon a time, in a small village called Ubu, there lived a young maiden named Nkechi. She was known throughout the village for her extraordinary beauty. Her skin was as smooth and as dark as the richest earth, and her eyes sparkled like the stars in the night sky. Nkechi lived a simple life, helping her mother with their small farm and spending her days playing with the other children in the village. Her beauty had not gone unnoticed. Many young men from neighboring villages had come to ask for her hand in marriage, but Nkechi had always refused, saying that she would only marry for love. But there was one person in the village who did not share the villagers' admiration for Nkechi. Her name was Wamai, and she was known as the village witch. Wamai was jealous of Nkechi's beauty and her popularity, and she vowed to herself that she would find a way to ruin Nkechi's life. One day, Wamai saw her chance. She invited Nkechi to her hut under the pretense of wanting to teach her some new herbs and spells. Nkechi, who was always eager to learn, accepted the invitation without hesitation. As soon as Nkechi entered Wamai's hut, she knew something was wrong. The air was thick with the smell of burning herbs, and the walls were covered in strange symbols. But before she could turn to leave, Wamai had already begun her incantation. With a wave of her hand, Wamai casted a spell on Nkechi, cursing her to have only one eye for the rest of her life. Nkechi felt a sharp pain in her head, and when she reached up to touch her face, she found that her second eye had disappeared. Nkechi was devastated. She ran from Wamai's hut, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe that someone could be so cruel, so jealous, to curse her like this. She felt like a monster, and she knew that she would never be able to show her face in the village again. But as the days passed, Nkechi realized that she had no choice but to face the world. She couldn't hide forever, and she couldn't let Wamai win. So, with a heavy heart, she ventured out of her home, her single eye peering out from beneath her veil. At first, the villagers were shocked by Nkechi's appearance. They whispered and pointed, and some even turned away in disgust. But Nkechi held her head high, refusing to let their stares get to her. She knew that she was still the same person inside, and that her beauty had never been just skin deep. Slowly but surely, the villagers began to accept Nkechi again. They saw that she was still the kind and gentle soul they had always known, and they realized that her single eye did not define her. Nkechi, in turn, began to see the beauty in herself again. She realized that her eye was not a curse, but a unique feature that made her special. As the years passed, Nkechi's life changed in other ways too. She fell in love with a kind and gentle man named Obina, who saw past her eye and loved her for who she was. Together, they had children, and Nkechi taught them to see the beauty in themselves, just as she had learned to see it in herself. One day, Nkechi's daughter, Ada, came home from playing with her friends, crying. They had made fun of her for her mother's single eye and called her a monster. Nkechi took her daughter in her arms and wiped away her tears. She told Ada that her eye was not a curse, but a unique feature that made her special. She told her that true beauty comes from within, and that it is not defined by our appearance, but by our character, our actions, and our kindness towards others. Ada looked at her mother, her single eye shining with a wisdom and a light that went beyond her years. And in that moment, she understood. She realized that her mother was not a monster, but a beautiful, strong, and powerful woman. And she knew that she too was beautiful, just the way she was. Years later, when Nkechi became an old woman, she would sit in her hut and tell her grandchildren the story of the curse and the lessons she had learned. She would tell them that true beauty comes from within and that it is not defined by our appearance. And she would remind them that even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility for growth and transformation. And her grandchildren would listen, their hearts filled with awe and inspiration, knowing that they were hearing the story of a truly beautiful woman, inside and out. And so, Nkechi's story lived on, long after she had passed away. It became a reminder of the power of resilience, the importance of self-love, and the true meaning of beauty. It served as a lesson for all to remember that sometimes the most beautiful things in life are not always what they seem. That true beauty lies within, and that it is not defined by our appearance, but by our character, our actions, and our kindness towards others. Nkechi's legacy lived on in her children and grandchildren, who grew up to be kind, compassionate and strong individuals who saw the beauty in themselves and others, and who passed on the lessons they had learned from their mother and grandmother. And the villagers too remembered Nkechi, not for her single eye, but for the beautiful, strong, and powerful woman she was, and the lessons she had taught them about true beauty.